Testing 1 2 1 2 testing. Testing 1 2. Well, another sunny Monday morning. Good morning, everybody. It's the dog with you on a good old Monday. Hope you're having a good day here in the Finger Lakes. The dog with another edition of Weber on Sports, where we go around the country. We start locally, then we expand to the collegiate level and go around and talk about national issues. And, of course, a little comments this morning about the Olympics. And later in the show, my last comments will be about the camping experience, something that myself and my wife do not enjoy or take part in, but I have to make a few shots toward RV owners. Give me a break. Well, let me give you a break and say that, hey, one of the things that my wife Mary and myself look forward to every year, and that is attending the St. Mary's Annual Festival, held up in Waterloo, obviously. It's always a great event. They have great food, just a lot of nice people up there. You can do the giblets and the sausage and the hamburgers and the hot dogs and all that good stuff, and you can play some gambling games and lose a few bucks, but it's going to a good cause, St. Mary's Church. And by the way, we had a chance to go up there on Saturday night, and once again, it was a splendid evening. We spent about 2 or 3 hours there. It was a lot of laughs. Played some poker, didn't do very well, but I had some good food, and I just want to say kudos to all the folks up in the Waterloo area that take part in volunteering and certainly helping out with the St. Mary's Festival. And I'm thinking of Bob Shipley to speak of one guy. He's the gambling commissioner. He oversees the gambling games. Good job for Bob Shipley. We had a ball, and kudos to everybody. And I got to send out a special kudos to the Lincoln family. They were guarding and manning the beer tent, which, by the way, was probably the most active tent on the grounds. Timmy Lincoln, the dad, daughter Kate Lincoln, and mom Sue Lincoln. The Lincolns took care of that, taking Lincolns for cash for beer. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun. Hung out with Joe Spizzato, Dougie Brown, Greg Brown, Greg's wife. We had a nice time over there at St. Mary's. So kudos to all the folks that are involved in putting that festival. Oh, and by the way, we didn't get a call about winning the lottery or the raffle ticket. That's no big deal. We never get a call on winning those tickets, but we'll be back next year. Well, in the world of local golf, I like to think of myself as a competitor. I'm not a very good player, as everybody who knows who's ever played golf with me. Yeah, I can shoot an 85 once in a while. I did that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I'm more apt to shoot around 96 to 100. because I get stupid and hit some terrible shots. I don't really play very good course management. But a couple of names that just keep popping up on the leaderboard of the local tournaments held at Seneca Falls Country Club, led by General Manager Bob Fuller, are the names of Bob Heisen playing with his partner Jack Hillmeyer, or the other dynamic duo, Bob Heisen and my good friend Mike Stackus Sr. Why do I bring up their names? Because they seem to win every single time they tee it up. They're getting sort of the reputation of Dr. John French and Mr. Boudreau years ago. I mean, these guys are unbeatable. I don't know what it is, whether Jack Hillmeyer and Bob Heisen hook up or whether Bob Heisen hooks up with Mike Stackus. If you see your names in the same flight of them, one word of advice: run. Get on your knees and beg for your money back, because you got no chance of winning. I think Heisen, with his win with Stackus in the Booty tournament over the weekend at Seneca Falls, that's his 11th win of the year. I'm kind of keeping track for Bob. It's amazing. Now, let's talk about handicaps. Bob's playing to a 13. Tells me that he had some really tough scores in Florida, which hit the gin system, that made his handicap get inflated. If Bob Heisen is a 13 handicap, then I'm Santa Claus. If Bob Heisen is a 13 handicap, then my right eye is working. And we all know that doesn't happen since I lost it in 1952. So, Bob, I guess I've played enough golf with you years ago. I always analyze people's games. Heisen drives at 230, 240, most of the time straight. Good iron player, good fairway wood player, good putter. His only problem is once in a while he fails to chip the ball consistently. Bob Heisen, you're a 9 or a 10 all morning, all afternoon, and all night. Hopefully the new gin numbers, when they come out in a few days, will prove that you're a 9 or a 10. Give the rest of the opposition a break. Come on, Bob. Do it for the community, and I know you've done a lot for the Seneca Falls Country Club, but you and Mike Stackus and you and Jack Hillmeyer, talk about stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. It's not any fun, Bob, because you guys always win. And that ain't fair. So get your handicap down to a 9 or 10. Are they thieves? You be the judge. Are they scoundrels? You be the judge. But I can tell you, folks, analyzing Heisen's game, he's the same guy that claims he's a 13 that shot a 32 on the front 9 years ago with me on the front 9 of Seneca Falls Country Club. That's 4 under if you're keeping track. And oh, by the way, he missed 2 birdie putts less than 6 feet, which would have been a 30. How you can conjure up a 13 with that kind of golf game is even bizarre to the dog. I had to take my shot, Bob. Excuse me. You're not a 13. By the way, this Olympic coverage, yes, USA, USA. I love it. Go America. Yes. I do enjoy watching the coverage. My wife Mary watched a lot of the events. We're right into it, pulling for red, white, and blue. But you know, this 5-hour time differential, it's 9:30 when I start this show on a Monday morning, which means it's 2:30 in London. Don't you think the other networks would show the decency of not putting on the trailer at the bottom of the screen who wins their various events? I was getting psyched to watch Michael Phelps go against Ryan Lochte, originally out of Canandaigua, the other night in the 400 individual medley. Yeah, I was looking forward to it. And then all of a sudden, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a little trailer at the bottom of the screen. Ryan Lochte wins gold. Michael Phelps does not finish in the top 3. First time that he did not medal when he's been in the swimming pool since 2000. So it took all the suspense away. You would think the rest of the networks would show class and not tell us, the citizenry, of who's winning. I don't want to know. It's prime time, baby. Let NBC use their ridiculous logic of putting these things on at 8 o'clock at night thinking we're watching it live, when in fact, hello, it's 1 o'clock in the morning in London. We know nobody's swimming at that hour. So for me, it was a turnoff. But again, these other networks are like scavengers. As soon as the results are in, they're going to broadcast them on the bottom of their screen. I don't know about the Yankees. I'm sure my good friend Brad Jones is smiling. His Boston Red Sox win in New York this past weekend and took 2 out of 3. Is that time for the Yankees to panic? Not. The Yankees still have a 10-game lead. Remember, folks, with less than 60 to play in the 2012 baseball season, the only column I want you to look at is the loss column. Forget about the wins. You can always make them up. You're looking at the L column for losses. The Yankees have a 10-game lead, and I believe they're leading 8 or 9 against Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto. You know, they're not in any trouble right now. but they do look a little sloppy. And CC, the CC stand for can't compete. Ever since CC Sabathia, the $26 million a year pitcher for the Yankees, came back off the DL, he's pitched like a pig. He had one good start, and the last two he blows a 4-0 lead against Oakland, and he looked horrible against the Red Sox a couple of nights ago. Now, what about a great move picking up Ichiro Suzuki, a first ballot Hall of Famer when that comes up down the road? And the only reason the Yankees were able to pick him up is they picked up his salary of some cool $18 million a year. A great pickup. And for you folks that have the Kleenexes out for the A-Rod injury who won't be back for a couple of months, not to worry. He's a $28 million man. I watch the Yankees a lot. I don't watch it with the intensity that Mary watches it, but I'm not so sold on A-Rod anymore. Yeah, he's still a pretty good player, but is he worth $28 million? Does he get the timely hit? Does he get the big home run when you need to get the big home run? He hit some home runs, but you're leading 6-1. So I don't think it's a big loss. Well, the Mets, I always pick on the Mets on this show. I continue to hammer the Mets. Yes, they split the series with Arizona on their road trip, so kudos to that. R.A. Dickey pitched a great game on Sunday night. But I got to say, Terry Collins, everybody's got him labeled as the manager of the year. I'm not so sure. The 13 games behind Wash in the loss column, so I'm not so sure why everybody should get congratulated for being that kind of a baseball team. But I must admit on this program, I do admit when I'm wrong, that I was wrong about Ike Davis. I said Ike Davis should have been sent off to Buffalo a couple of years ago, or at least last year, and certainly earlier this year. See ya, Ike. I was wrong. He's got 20 home runs. He hit 3 the other night against Arizona. So I'm wrong about Ike Davis. I eat crow on making that statement. But back to Terry Collins. His post-game interviews are legendary. He has some great lines. Not in the category of Yogi Berra, but pretty close. How about this line? After losing another game, quote unquote, what did Terry say? We're not a bad team. We're just playing bad. Thank you, Terry. And to Mike Cotillo and Billy Owens, big Buckaroo fans. They remember the days of Willie Stargell and Roberto Clemente. And I always made fun because the Pirates have had a losing record for 21 straight years. Why would this year be any different? Well, it is. The Pirates are playing inspiring baseball and winning baseball. So I must eat crow to Mike Cotillo and Bill Owens and say, yes, the dog was wrong about the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm sorry. Mike French, my friend up in Waterloo, has been a Cincinnati Reds fan for as long as I've known Mike. And guess what? They're steamrolling everybody, and they don't have their best player, Votto, who's out with an injury. Way to go, Cincinnati. Well, for all you St. Bonaventure graduates and Niagara graduates, good news coming up this year on November 24th, a Saturday. Those teams will play basketball against each other at the Blue Cross Arena. So a lot of alumni in the area for St. Bonnie and Niagara. So check it out, folks. Get your tickets when they come out for that November 24th matchup. St. Bonnie's and Niagara. This is Weber on Sports. On a Monday, we welcome you. Don't forget later in the show, my comments about you campers. I'll come back with more, but let's hear from our great sponsors to make this show possible. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. The dog in the kennel here on Weber on Sports, here on FingerLakes1.com. Hope you're enjoying the show. Hope you're enjoying your Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I certainly did, and look forward to this week. It's going to be another 85 to 90-ish kind of a week. Boy, what a stretch of weather we've had. You know, as I told you before many times, I like to watch horse racing. That soothes my body for whatever reason. My innards get warm when I watch horses compete. And I very seldom go to OTB and bet. We usually bet just the Triple Crown. But I like watching racing. And I have to admit, there's nothing better than to go to Saratoga and watch the races. I understand my buddy Jeremy Hunt, our ace cameraman for FingerLakes1.com Sports, him and his family and the Colavitos were recently at Saratoga. And Jeremy tells me he wants some money. But back to Saratoga. They're obviously underway down there, and they do some outstanding racing. And I like about Saratoga is the fields are big, meaning 10 or 12 horses in each race, which allows you, if you get lucky, to make a lot of money. because most of the time there's a lot of $30, $40, $50 winners coming in there. But if you do follow racing closely, Ramon Dominguez is one of the best jockeys in the world. And Ramon did something which was quite rare. Last week in a card, I believe there was 11 races on that particular day's card. Ramon Dominguez jockeyed in 9 of the 11. Why do I bring that up? Because he won 6 of the 9 races. How rare is winning 6 races on a racing card at Saratoga? It's happened one other time. Johnny Velasquez, another Hall of Fame jockey, did it several years ago. So 2 jockeys in 175 years of racing history, tradition at Saratoga. That's how many years they've been racing at that famed track. Only twice have jockeys won 6 races on a day's card. Ramon Dominguez, the latest to do it. Imagine putting $20 on all his horses that day. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Well, our friends over in Newark, we were there last night on FingerLakes1.com Sports. We broadcast the game, an outstanding performance by Newark's pitcher, Mr. Thorpe, striking out 11. He gave up a home run to McIntyre for Elmira. They trailed 1-0. They tied the game up 1-1. They score a couple of runs. They win it 3-1. What's that win mean? It means that they have clinched a playoff spot for 2012. There's 2 games left in the regular season. They're off today. Tomorrow they go to Oneonta, and then Wednesday they get Elmira back in Newark. If Newark were to win the next 2 games, they would have their destiny in their bats because they would grab the number 2 seed, which is important because number 2 seed plays number 3. Amsterdam, number 1 seed, would play the 4th seed. So go to Bob and Leslie Ullman's team and Chris Ebrod and Brian Connell, the general manager. We wish them the best of winning the next 2 games, and we wish them nothing but the best in the upcoming playoffs. As far as our plans for playoffs, more details will be announced sometime this week by Jim Senecropi, the owner of FingerLakes1.com, on whether or not we plan to cover any of their playoff action. But congratulations on an outstanding year as Newark has clinched a spot in the big party. You know, I've been doing sports a long time, probably over 35 years. There has been some stories that have touched my heart and have gotten me a little bit goosebumps, had the hair on my arms stand up. Well, I'm about to introduce a little bit of a film that came from a young man named Seth Burgess. Who is Seth Burgess? Well, he's a Newark resident, but he's in the military. He is a captain in the United States Army, and he is stationed at the Kandahar airfield in Afghanistan. Why is that important? Because he's a big Newark Pilot fan, and he checks out the dog and Brendan Harrington and all of our team when we webcast Newark Pilot baseball like last night. How important is that? Check it out, folks. Here he is, Seth Burgess, with his little story and his hello to all of the fans back in the Newark area and his family and his love for Newark Pilot baseball.
Hi, I'm Captain Seth Burgess from Newark, New York. I'm deployed to Afghanistan right now with the 27th Infantry Brigade Combat Team out of Syracuse, the New York Army National Guard. And I think that technology is a really neat enabler for all of us while we're over here. These days we can connect with our families at home, and we can even watch webcasts of Newark Pilots baseball all the way over from Afghanistan. It's really neat to be able to watch that Newark turf, whether it's Ben Bostic hitting a triple or Sean Osterman crossing the plate before he was injured. But it just gives me a window into back home, which is very supporting as far as getting into the daily life over here. I'd like to say hello to all the expanded community out in Newark and Wayne County, in the Finger Lakes area, that's been very supportive of all of our soldiers over here away from home. And I especially want to say hi to my own hometown here, my wife back home, with our 18-month-old son, Anderson. And I'm especially excited, along with for all the Newark Pilots fans, including myself, that once again in our second year here, the Newark Pilots are positioned to go into the playoffs. Go Pilots!
Come back, everybody. Does that not touch your emotional strings? A young man, Seth Burgess, all the way from Kandahar Airfield in Afghanistan, a big viewer of FingerLakes1.com's coverage of Newark Pilot baseball. So when you hear the term World Wide Web, you know what they're talking about. That's pretty neat. So I don't know about Seth's schedule when he's coming home on leave, but certainly I know when he comes back from his military service, I'm sure he'll be guest of the Omens at Coburn Park in Newark to check out his favorite baseball team. I thought that was pretty awesome. Let's go to the world of racing. The Nationwide Racing Series took place this past weekend. On Saturday, Brad Keselowski continues to dominate, and he just ran away and hit on that race. Nationwide Racing, of course, that was at Indianapolis over the weekend. Update on Danica. I'm a model. I'm a good-looking Danica Patrick. Her update, she got in a crash. Adios amigo, Danica. She finishes 35th. Nice week for Danica, as I pick on Danica, Dick Marshall, and Ted Flock. Always like that. Well, the Brickyard 400, can you say domination? Jimmy Johnson dominated that race. Won it for the fourth time. 4 times he's won the Brickyard 400. Kyle Busch finishing second. The Biff man, Greg Biffle, finishing third. And all you junior fans who drive the 88 car, he didn't win. He's got 1 race under his belt. But more importantly, he is now the points leader as we go down the stretch in racing. First time, by the way, that Junior Earnhardt has led the points racing since 2004. To the world of golf, to the Canadian Open Golf Championship. Not a real big field as far as superstars. And trouble with the Canadian Open is they play it the week after the British Open. A few of the big names showed up, but a lot of them stayed away as they've got the Firestone Tournament, which is the World Golf Championship in Akron, Ohio this coming week, and then followed by the PGA, which is the 4th major. So a young man named Scott Piercy, the victor, winning and picking up some $900,000 for his effort. Also, the check of $900,000 will be outdone by the fact that he now makes the Firestone Field, which is a no-cut event for 72 holes on the tough track at Firestone. Well, let me tell you something, folks. There are some things that I always find fascinating, and there are some things that really dazzle me, like Bob Heisen's 13 handicap. Poor Bob's taking a beating today. But there's got to be a topic that kind of warms my innards. You know, I've talked about this at length on many of my shows for years. And that is, if you and your family enjoy camping, kudos to you. I respect you taking your time. I respect you going to Dick's Sporting Goods, getting all the gear, getting the tent, etc., etc., etc. If you enjoy going to a campsite, I think it's wonderful. What I have a real problem with, if you think you're convincing me driving your $150,000 RV into the campsite as you drive down to Seneca Falls Country Club on the left-hand side, if you think that impresses the dog as I head to the first tee, watching that RV pull in, if you think that is a camping experience, then you must be a redneck. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. I have never gone camping. My wife's never gone camping. And oh, by the way, here's a bulletin. We will never go in the future. But to me, driving an RV, that's not camping. I have friends that go camping. Camping is when you get the tent out of the back of the trunk. You get the stakes, you pound them in. I don't care if it's a small tent, medium-sized tent, large tent, okay? You pound the stakes in. Now you try to get the bottom of the tent to get flush with the ground, because that's important. Why is that important? Because if you don't get it flush to the ground, those little creatures come crawling in during the night when you're sleeping in your sleeping bag. That's part of camping. And oh, by the way, when you're laying in a camp or in a real tent, enjoying the camping experience, if you get a thunderstorm, the hail hits the tent. It's scary. Real scary. Never done that, but I have friends that tell me it is scary. So my point is, you get thunder and lightning, you get crashing hail. That to me is camping. You RV owners make me laugh. You call that camping? When your wife is hot, you go inside, turn on the AC, and sit on a couch, a comfortable couch? That's not camping. You want some food, you go in and turn on the oven and make yourself a steak? That's not camping, RV owners. Parks should ban all RVs. All you RV owners should line up your RVs at Walmart. And I know you can put a sign on the side of the RV that you're rich because you carry a car and you hook a car on the back of your RV. That's not camping. Camping is the old-fashioned way that Daniel Boone told us years ago on TV. You pound the steaks in. That's camping. So I'm sorry, folks, and a couple of tips for you folks that enjoy the experience of camping the old-fashioned way with a regular tent. Couple of tips from the dog. Leave Roscoe, your mutt, your dog, home. Nobody wants to hear a barking dog who's positioned 20 feet from you and their tent. That is annoying. Leave your dog home. Don't have your dog bark during a campsite. Also, if you have a baby infant, get grandma to watch the baby and don't bring the little baby with you. The little babies are cute, but they cry. So you got the barking Roscoe dog, you got the crying baby. Also, if you have a generator, don't bring that with you either. Too bad. Suck it up, no power source. You got a generator running, you got the baby screaming, and you got the dog barking. How annoying is that? So please show some respect to your fellow campers. But I'm impressed that you're trying to camp. Let me tell you something, folks. The dog has a criteria of camping. Two things must be met. A, I must be able to pick up a phone and call for room service. B, I want to go to the door of my hotel room and reach out and touch something. What is that? A USA Today at 5:30 in the morning. So that, to me, is the Weber idea of camping. So all you RV owners, give me a break. You guys don't camp. You guys just show off. Take care, everybody. Wednesday morning, the Dog and Paulie Show. Brian Connell will be our guest, general manager of the Newark Pilots. He'll be here for the full hour. Take care, everybody. Until Wednesday at 9 o'clock, have a great day. That's a look at sports and a comment about you poor campers my way.